Why do we meet the same kind of people, fall into the same heartbreaks, chase the same dreams that somehow slip away, or face the same fears, just in different forms? Again and again, life circles back, until something inside finally wakes up. Maybe life isn't punishing you. Maybe it's trying to show you what you keep refusing to see. What if every repeated pain, every familiar struggle, is your soul's unfinished lesson? Carl Jung believed that life itself is an endless dialogue between the conscious and the unconscious. Whatever we refuse to bring to light returns to us as fate. The patterns you call bad luck are often the psyche's language, its way of saying, "Look here. You've missed something important." Different faces, different years, the same emotional script. You promise yourself, "Never again," yet somehow the story restarts. Not because you failed, but because the lesson still lives in shadow. Jung said the things we repress don't disappear, they orbit us. They wait patiently until awareness calls them home. You meet the same person again, you face the same conflict again, you fall into the same despair again, because the psyche repeats what it cannot yet integrate. We mistake repetition for failure, but Jung saw it as evolution. Healing moves in spirals, not straight lines. You pass the same point, but on a higher level each time. The universe, or the unconscious, as Jung would call it, cares more for growth than comfort. And growth rarely feels kind while it's happening. You may notice this pattern not only in love, but in money, purpose, health, timing, opportunity. You change jobs, the same power struggle returns. You move cities, loneliness follows. You start fresh, yet the same doubt whispers through. It's not the world repeating itself. It's your inner world projecting outward until it's seen. Jung called this projection the act of meeting outside what we deny within. Life is a mirror, and the mirror keeps reflecting until consciousness recognizes its own face. When we resist the lesson, the reflection grows louder. A whisper becomes a storm. A small discomfort turns into a breaking point. Not as punishment, but as precision. The psyche aims directly at what still aches to be healed. Think of those moments when everything felt eerily familiar, the same argument, the same rejection, the same empty space inside. Each is an echo from the depths of the unconscious, asking to be heard. Jung wrote that the soul will bring us suffering when it wants to enlarge our awareness. Pain is the signal of expansion. If you don't face it in one person, you'll meet it in another. If you don't face it in work, you'll meet it in silence. Because until it's faced, it remains alive beneath the surface. This, Jung said, is the path of individuation, the slow, sacred becoming of the whole self. It isn't built through new experiences, but through integrating the old ones we tried to escape. Patterns carry emotional fingerprints. Each one leads back to a feeling once too heavy to hold. Abandonment, shame, fear, the longing to be seen, to be safe, to be loved. That pain became the quiet center around which your life began to move. You think you're chasing love, but you're chasing the wound. You think you're avoiding failure, but you're avoiding power. Until awareness enters, repetition is destiny. When the same pain knocks twice, Jung would call that grace in disguise. It means the unconscious believes you're ready this time, ready to respond differently. So when patterns return, pause. Ask, what in me still asks for light? Every cycle is a conversation between you and your own evolution. At first it feels like punishment. Later you see it as preparation. The same fire that burned you was forging your strength. Jung likened this to alchemy. Suffering is the raw material, awareness is the gold. But gold demands heat. Some people live the same year over and over because they keep running from the fire. The work is not to escape it, but to let it transform you. Patterns can even be inherited. Jung observed that unresolved energy flows through generations until someone becomes conscious enough to stop it. You can be that one, the point where repetition turns into realization. When you stop running, the pattern stops chasing. Not because life gives up, but because you have seen. Awareness ends the loop. You cannot heal what you will not name. And once it's named, you no longer need the mirror. If life feels circular, if stories keep returning, take it as a sacred signal. The soul is still speaking. Jung wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain. But within that pain is the movement of awakening, the spiral rising toward light." There comes a moment when the pattern begins to reveal itself. You see the loop, you feel the echo, and something inside quietly whispers, "I've been here before." That recognition is the first light of consciousness. Carl Jung called it seeing the shadow. It's the instant when the mind turns its gaze inward and realizes that what looked like fate has always been a mirror. Awareness doesn't change the world at once, but it changes the one who sees it. And that shift is the beginning of freedom. Jung said that the shadow holds everything we refuse to own: our anger, envy, fear, desire, but also our unlived strength. When we make peace with those exiled parts, we stop projecting them onto the people and situations around us. The moment you admit, "Yes, that too is me," the pattern loses its charge. Life no longer needs to repeat it. It isn't always graceful. Some realizations arrive like earthquakes. The old identity trembles, the stories collapse. But beneath the ruins lies something truer, the part of you that was never defined by pain. Jung compared this to meeting the self, the deeper center that has guided you all along. He wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Becoming who you are means seeing what you are not. It means standing in the light with every contradiction and no longer running. That is the real healing, not escaping the pattern, but understanding it so completely that it dissolves on its own. Repetition ends not through effort, but through insight. You begin to respond differently. You pause instead of react. You speak instead of stay silent. You walk away instead of chase. You forgive instead of blame. Each new response rewrites the inner script. And slowly, the loop loses its gravity. Jung often reminded his students that the psyche seeks balance, not perfection. Every time you choose awareness over reaction, you restore that balance. It's not about never feeling pain again. It's about knowing that pain has meaning, that it arrives only to return something forgotten to your awareness. You start noticing subtler signs: a tension in the body, a voice in the mind, a symbol in a dream. Jung believed dreams are the letters the soul sends to itself. They tell you what the conscious mind ignores. They show you where you still hide. Listen. The pattern speaks in many languages. It might come as coincidence, as the same number appearing, as a sentence you overhear twice in one day. Synchronicity, Jung said, is how the inner world and outer world communicate. When the message is understood, the coincidence stops repeating. That's when you realize the universe was never against you. It was only echoing the parts of you that wanted to be whole. Healing doesn't mean you'll never face the same challenge again. It means when it returns, you no longer lose yourself in it. You can stand still while the old storm passes through. This is the quiet triumph of consciousness. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need validation. It simply knows. Some call it maturity. Jung called it individuation. The soul calls it home. You will still feel doubt, still meet shadows, still be tested. But now you walk through the pattern with open eyes. You recognize the lesson as soon as it begins. And because of that, you no longer have to repeat it. There's a tenderness in this realization. You start to forgive yourself for all the circles you once walked. You see how every repetition was trying to lead you here, to clarity, to awareness, to the quiet strength of truth. The past was never wasted. It was the spiral staircase bringing you closer to who you were meant to become. Jung wrote, "We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. Now, when you meet yourself again, you'll recognize the face. And you'll smile, because this time you understand. When life repeats itself, pause, breathe, look gently within. Ask, what is this showing me about my own evolution? Then step forward with awareness. Not trying to escape, but to integrate. Because once awareness enters, the lesson completes its circle. The universe no longer needs to whisper again and again. it can finally say, "You've learned. Thank you for being here with me. Take care of your heart. And may love always guide your path."